Garden. I'm Avalon.
And I'm Ray.
And we are so close to being done. And the light is at the end of the tunnel. And the carrot is hovering in front of my face.
I'm the one holding the carrot. I just have it on a little string.
And I'm like,
come on, come on.
And the carrot is that when we're done with this, we get to record something we actually like, which is Cinderella Boy. The first episode will be public, so you guys can hear what our sincere and actual efforts at voice acting sound like. But the rest will be for supporters only. Probably that won't change. If it does change, it won't be for a very long time. So, supporters to get Cinderella Boy content.
You need to be in the circle to hear us embarrass ourselves.
I think we'll be pretty good. We've been practicing.
Yeah, we have.
We've been legitimately practicing and like getting into character, and
I try my best.
It's been very fun. So we're gonna do something we enjoy to make up for this piece of shit book that we're almost done with. So let's go. Chapter 52. Phoebe awoke the next day, unsure what time it was. There had been a knock on her door, and she blinked the sleep from her eyes in time to see Dorian enter. He stared at her for a moment from the doorway, and she managed a small smile. "Hello," she said hoarsely.
Hello.
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 Mr. Obama. Trying to do that in a woo and Harvey Shrill is just cursed. She remembered him carrying her, holding her down as the healer stitched her leg. He came forward, his steps heavy. "You look even worse today," he whispered. Wow. Despite, well, he's
you
not
look like
smart.
fucking shit.
He's not smart. Despite the pain, Phoebe sat up. "I'm fine," she lied. She wasn't. Kane had cracked one of her ribs, and it ached every time she breathed. He clenched his jaw, staring out the window. "What's the matter with you?" she asked. She tried to reach out to grab his jacket, but it hurt too much, and he was too far. I don't know," he said. The vacant, lost look in his eyes increased the tempo of her heart. "I haven't been able to sleep since the duel." "Here," she said as gently as she could, patting a space beside her. "Come sit." Obediently he sat, though he kept his back to her as he put his head in his hands and took several deep breaths. Phoebe gingerly touched his back. He stiffened, and she almost pulled away, but his spine relaxed, and he continued his controlled breathing. "Are you ill?" she asked. "No," he mumbled. Okay. Rare points for Throne of Ass.
Yeah.
Male vulnerability.
Wow.
Hey, letting a man feel an emotion and process it. Because obviously, while it was far more traumatic for her being injured and seeing all that fucking shit, he was not having a good time either. And needs to process. And
also, he's like way less used to it.
Yeah, so, hey, good on you for giving him a moment here to breathe and be emotionally vulnerable. This is actually good.
Wow.
I'm not being sarcastic or petty. I do like this. "No," he mumbled. "Dorian, what happened?" "What do you mean, what happened?" he said, keeping his face in his hands. "One minute you were walloping Grave, and the next Kane was beating the living daylights out of you." "You lost sleep because of that?" I can't, he groaned. She gave him a moment, letting him sort through his thoughts. "I'm sorry," he said, removing his hands from his face and straightening. She nodded. She wouldn't push him. "How are you truly feeling?" The fear still lay beneath his words. "Awful," she said cautiously, "and I suspect I look as bad as I feel." He smiled slightly. He was trying to fight it, whatever feeling had been hounding him. "I've never seen you look lovelier." "Bullshit! You said you look even worse today."
Straight up, he doesn't know where he is or what he's saying or what he's doing.
Just lie to her face. Well, because that's what you're supposed to say. You know, we're back to the facade. He eyed the bed. "Do you mind if I lie down? I'm exhausted." She didn't object as he removed his boots and unbuttoned his jacket. With a groan, he stretched out beside her, putting his hands on his stomach. She watched him close his eyes and let out a long breath through his nose. Some semblance of normalcy returned to his face. How's Kale? She asked, tensing.
How's your boyfriend?
Our boyfriend.
Your boyfriend.
She remembered the spray of blood.
She's not allowed in the polycule.
And his staring, horrified face. Dorian opened an eye. He'll be fine. He took yesterday and today off. I think he needs it. Phoebe's heart tightened. You shouldn't feel responsible, he said, turning onto his side to look directly into her face. He did what he saw fit. Yes, but... No, insisted Dorian. Kale knew what he was doing. He brushed a finger down her cheek. His finger was icy, but she held in her shiver. I'm sorry, he said again, taking his finger from her face. I'm sorry I didn't save you. Okay, kind of awkwardly written here. With, like, the whole finger on her face. Take the finger away from the face. Like, when you say you brush a finger down her cheek, I'm assuming you don't just leave it there. Because you're brushing it. Yeah, he didn't poke her cheek. He just, typically with brushing...
It's a light gesture that is fleeting.
Yeah, the implication is that you didn't leave it there, but alright, whatever. What are you talking about? That is what you've been agonizing over? The emphasis was actually important on that sentence. I'm sorry I didn't stop Kane the moment I knew something was wrong. Kaltane drugged you and I should have known. I should have found a way to prevent her from doing it. And when I realized you were hallucinating, I'm sorry I didn't find a way to stop it. Green skin and yellow fangs flashed before her eyes, and Phoebe's aching fingers curled into a fist. Green skin and yellow fangs? The fuck is that?
I don't know.
When was anything described with green skin? Like, yellow fangs, okay, fine. When was anything green-skinned? This is a new description to me.
What? Just... Did the knick-knack paddywhack have green skin?
I guess it did. If that's what's being referenced, I don't know. You shouldn't be sorry, she said, not wanting to speak about the horrors she'd seen or of Kaltane's treachery or what Nehemia had confided in her. You did as anyone would have, should have done. If you'd interfered, I would have been disqualified. I should have sliced Kane open the moment he laid a hand on you. Instead, I stood there as Kale knelt at the sidelines. I should have been the one to kill Kane. The demons faded, and a smirk spread. You're starting to sound like an assassin, my friend. No, he's not.
Really.
Assassins famously do not kill for passion. They kill because...
They kill for money.
There's a financial transaction. They don't have personal, stake in it.
It's kind of like when, you're driving home and you're all like, man, I really want a burger. And then some fucking McDonald's worker manifests in your backseat and is like, you sound like a fry cook. Like, no, that's not how that works.
Fry cooks don't want to be there either. Perhaps I spent too much time around you. Phoebe moved her head from the pillow.
Barely.
Yeah, not
You didn't really spend a whole lot of time around her. Not as nearly as much as this book seems to think you did.
And very little of it was meaningful. Phoebe moved her head from the pillow to rest in the soft space between his shoulder and chest. Heat rushed through her. Though her body almost seized up in agony as she turned over, Phoebe put her injured hand on his stomach. Dorian's breath was warm on her head, and she smiled as he brought his arm around her, cupping her shoulder. They were silent for a while. Dorian, she began, and he flicked her on the nose. Ow, she said, wrinkling her nose. Though her face was peppered with bruises, miraculously Kane hadn't marred her in any permanent way, though the cut on the leg would leave yet another scar. So he was slamming her face into shit and probably, breaking her nose.
She does, however,
none of that's permanent.
Have a concussion. She thinks that there's a ringing bell off in the distance all the time now.
Whose phone?
No, it's not anyone's phone. No one's got their phone on.
She has to be pretty, so none of that left any marks on her face, not even like a cool scar. Nothing. Okay. Yes, he said, resting his chin on her head. She listened to the sound of his heart beating, the steadiness of it. When you retrieved me from Endovier, did you actually think I'd win? Of course. Why else would I have bothered to journey so far to find you? She snorted into his chest, but he gently lifted her chin. His eyes were familiar, like something she'd forgotten. Sam? No.
Bro.
No.
I thought they were gonna reference Sam again. You got my hopes up.
Nope. No. Sam no longer exists. I knew you'd win the moment I met you, he whispered, and her heart writhed as she understood what lay before them. What? Though I'll admit...
Her heart writhed?
Okay.
That's not really
That's definitely not a pleasant feeling. Which makes me confused as to what she's thinking about. Though I'll admit that I didn't quite see this coming. And no matter how frivolous and twisted that competition was, I'm grateful it brought you into my life. As long as I live, I'll always be thankful for that. Do you intend to make me cry, or are you just foolish? Dorian leaned forward and kissed her. It made her jaw hurt. Okay, anyway. Time. POV, switch to
Okay. I thought this was gonna be...
Play the Doctor Who theme. Sitting on his glass throne, the King of Aderlin stroked Nothong's pommel. Parrington knelt before him, waiting. Let him wait. Then let him die. Though the assassin was his champion, he had yet to send her contract. What happened there?
Don't worry about it.
Her contract. She was close with both his son and Princess Nehemia. Would appointing her somehow be a risk? But the captain of the guard trusted the assassin well enough to save her life. The king's face became like stone. He wouldn't punish Chaol Westfall, if only to avoid Dorian raising hell in the captain's defense. If only Dorian had been born a soldier and not a reader. But there was a man somewhere in Dorian, a man who could be honed into a warrior. Perhaps a few months at the battlefront would do him some good. A helmet and a sword could do wondrous things to a young man's temperament. And after that show of willpower in his throne room, Dorian could be a strong general if he was pushed. And as for the assassin, once her injuries were healed, what better person to have at his bidding? Besides, there were no others in whom he could place his trust. Phoebe Halliwell was his best and only choice now that Cain was dead. The king traced a mark on the glass arm of his seat. He was well versed in word marks, but he'd never seen one like hers. He would find out, and if it were an indication of some fell deed or prophecy, he'd have the girl hanging by nightfall. Okay, see, what I'm so mad about is that on page 387 of this book, we're finally getting, like, a villain POV from the king, which, honestly, glad we had to wait for it. And it's some of the best prose in the book.
That's because villains are interesting.
And also because he's not, like... We haven't seen him the whole book.
Yeah.
This is actually good. I really wish that this was the last chapter, because I highly suspect that this will be the peak. And will probably be the best, like, little, sequel bait that we'll probably get. Because we still have more chapters to go.
I can't... Okay, see... I'm in that falling action spot where I don't see how anything in the remaining chapters will be all that interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like,
maybe it's because I'm not invested enough in this series to care whether or not it has a sequel. But, like, she has won the big competition.
She has her man.
Her and Nehemia are on good terms. Chaol is not going to go to jail for doing his job.
He's gonna brood about it for a little bit, but, we can deal with that.
Like, anything that happens in the next few chapters will be of such minor importance to this installment of the series specifically that I'm all like, why bother keep reading?
Yeah, like, the story's basically over here, especially if, like us, you're not gonna read the sequels.
Yeah, but like, this is my whole thing, where it's all like, every book in a series should be able to more or less stand on its own.
Yeah.
So, like...
And this is just kind of a wet fart of an ending.
Yeah, this is just kind of, oh, but we have to add things that'll keep you hooked for the sequel now, even though if you were intent on having a sequel, you should have had a bunch of stacked up things already that would make people interested in a sequel.
Or, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, if you've written a good book, you don't usually need sequel bait. People should be just
exactly
interested in seeing these characters in this world again.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to lead them. You shouldn't have to do a fucking Marvel post-credit scene.
Yeah, post-credit scene. This is the post-credit scene of this book.
Yeah. Alright, well, we're not quite done yet, but like I said, I get the strong feeling that this is going to be the strongest possible ending that we could have had, and then we're just going to keep going for a few more chapters. Anyway, seeing her thrash about while drugged had almost convinced him to order her death, but then he'd felt the angry and furious eyes of the dead. Someone had interfered and saved her, and if these creatures both protected and attacked her, perhaps she was not a person to die at his command, not before he discovered the meaning of her mark. For now, though, he had more important things to worry about. Your manipulation of Kaltain was interesting, said the king at last. Parrington remained kneeling. Were you using the power on her? No, I've relaxed it recently, as you suggested, the Duke replied, rotating the obsidian ring around his thick finger. Besides, she was starting to look noticeably affected, drained and pale, and she even mentioned the headaches. The treachery of Lady Kaltain was disturbing, but he had known of Parrington's plan to reveal her character, even to prove how easily she'd adapt to their plans and how strong her determination ran. Had he known of Parrington's plan to reveal her character, blah, 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 he would have prevented it. Such a public revelation only brought about irritating questions. So once again, the king is smart. And
on everything.
Yeah, in on everything, and has at least some magical powers, which, duh.
Yeah.
We all knew that.
Duh.
If you didn't guess that, then... Like, I'm pretty sure even the 14-year-olds reading this book were able to guess pretty easily that the king was hoarding the magic for himself.
Yeah, it's all like, no, he's getting rid of the magic so that he's the only one who can use the magic.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Pretty standard plot point.
If not, he would be keeping, like, a powerful magic user, like, prisoner under his control or something like that.
Yeah.
It would either be that or that.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of options here. And, I'm not going to blame SJM for that one, because, like I said, it is a pretty standard trope.
Yeah.
But, just come on. Don't treat it like a big revelation.
This should not have been at the ending of the book.
It was clever of you to experiment on her. She's become a strong ally, and still suspects nothing of our influence. I have high hopes for this power. Oh, and then he gets hit with the stupid stick, because what do you mean she's a strong ally? She is the opposite of that. The king confided, looking at his own black ring. Cain proved the physical transformative effects, and Kaltain proved the ability to influence thoughts and emotions. I would like to test its full ability to hone the minds of a few others. Part of me wishes Kaltain hadn't been so susceptible, grumbled Parrington. She wanted to use me to get to your son, but I don't want the power to turn her into Cain. Despite myself, I don't like the thought of her rotting in those dungeons for long. Do not fear for Kaltain, my friend. She won't remain in the dungeons forever. When the scandal has been forgotten and the assassin is busy with my work, we'll make Kaltain an offer she can't refuse. But there are ways of controlling her if you think she can't be trusted. Let's first see how the dungeons change her mind, Parrington said quickly. Of course. It's only a suggestion. They were silent, and the Duke rose. Duke, the king said, his voice echoing through the chamber. The fire in the mouth-shaped fireplace flickered, and green light filled the shadows of the room. We will soon have much to do in Aeriel. Prepare yourself, and stop pushing your plan to use the Elway princess. It's attracting too much attention. The Duke only nodded, bowed, and strode out of the chamber. The chapter ends there. Wish I could say the book did, because
yeah,
that's the best hook you're gonna get.
End it there, guys. You don't need 55 chapters.
We still got 3 more chapters and 14 more pages.
Yeah, and
Plus
then
the extras.
extras back here.
Yeah, I'm not counting those in the page count though.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, we made
What
it
can
through.
we possibly have left to do in 3 more chapters?
Let's
That
have Kay all
just
mope.
tedious.
It'll probably be Kay all moping or Phoebe being like, "Oh, I'm all better and I can get up and move around. Yay!" Like, place your bets now. What's going to happen in the last 3 chapters of this book that necessitates 14 more pages? But that's it for chapter 52. We are just getting right through it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for being here and keep growing till next time, Rose Garden.
Bye-bye.